started with the discrete probability distribution. If we revise what we have done till now, so we have started with what a random variable is. Then we have learned that how we can find out its probability distribution, taking an example of the discrete case. Correct? We have taken an example of three coins. We have seen that how many times head could appear, and then on noting down the probability, we have created the probability distribution. Correct? We have learned that we have two type of distributions, either discrete or continuous one. Under the discrete heading, we have already learned binomial distribution and Poisson distribution. We have learned their formulas of the probability density function. We have learned about their movements, movement generating functions, and how we have to evaluate regarding the binomial or Poisson that we have seen. As a difference, we have learned that in case of binomial, we have to see that there are only two possible outcomes, and in Poisson, it is not such a rule. Another thing that we have seen is that in the binomial distribution, the range that some event can happen goes from 0 to n. If we have done n tries, then the maximum possible successes can be 0 to n. But in case of the Poisson distribution, we have just learned that how many times it's possible. There is no such bound. We are going from 0 to infinity. Correct? So that is the case in the Poisson distribution. One other thing is, when we are working with the Poisson distribution, we have learned that the mean is equal to variance is equal to lambda. What is lambda where? Lambda is equal to n and p. Correct? And if we talk about binomial distribution, there we have learned mean is equal to np and variance is equal to npq. Other than that, we have learned the movement generating functions of both of them along with the movements. Correct? So these are the things that we have learned till now. Today, under the heading of continuous random variable, we are going to learn the random variable which is continuous, how we are going to deal with probability distribution. There are a lot of continuous probability distribution, but in our course, we are going to learn the most famous one, which is the normal distribution. Correct? So let us start with the normal probability distribution. So here we have the same thing. What is a continuous random variable? A continuous random variable is a variable that can assume infinite many values correspond to the points on the line interval. It means if we talk about any of the range, let me take, we have the minimum range of something and the maximum range of something, and in between some points are lying, so we are not sure of which point will appear. We can't count it as a discrete value because here infinitely many values can occur in between this range. For example, if I take just a small range 0 to 1, then obviously I can write down 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. I can write down 0.4, 0.45, 0.456, 0.459, 0.4523, whatever the things are. So it means the division is not limited to the number. Okay? Whenever we are talking about these type of integers that are happening, sorry, not integers, these type of uh, real numbers that are coming in between the two integer points, then these are known as a continuous random variable. Okay? For example, here we have taken heights and weights. Obviously, if we take the digital scale, then we can't say that height is exactly 5 feet or 6 feet or 7 feet. They can be 5, 6, 7, but it could be 5.1, 5.2, 5.23, whatever the thing is. Similarly, we talk about the weights. Correct? If we talk about length of life of a particular product, correct? So here, if we take the division, then if we talk about the discrete one, suppose we are talking about bulb life, correct? All of us are using CFL nowadays. Other bulbs are also coming into the market. If we talk about the length of life of a bulb, so it could be 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, either integers, but it could also be 1 day, 4 hours, 1 day, 4 hours, 30 minutes, 1 day, 4 hours, 30 minutes, some seconds, and it could be just a fraction of second, because when a company is manufacturing these type of products, they are taking consideration of the length of life, and because of that, nowadays if we go to the market to purchase CFL or any other LED light, then we are looking for their life, their cost, and all the things matters, right? That's why we have so many brands in the market. Now in probability distribution case, if we talk about the continuous random variable, then how we are going to describe it? The one of the most important property by which we can visualize it is a smooth curve. Whenever we are talking about normal distribution, from now onwards you will see that every time I am going to create a curve like this, it's not actually created correctly, it's just a bell shaped curve. Let me try again, like this. If we are talking about a normal curve, so it is a bell shaped curve which is symmetric about both axes. So we are going to talk about a continuous probability distribution, and whenever we will talk about it, we will talk about its smoothness, that how many uh, points are there which are lying on the curve, how much smooth it is, how much picked it is, these type of things. Correct? So here we have an example. We have just taken a curve. Now what is the property of this curve? Correct? Here we are saying the depth or density of a probability which varies with x may be described by a mathematical formula fx, which is known as the probability distribution or probability density function for the random variable. What it means is, whenever we are talking about fx, we are actually representing the probability distribution of a random variable, and on this axis, here we are taking, if x is here, x is lying in a particular range, then this fx denotes the probability density function. And how we are denoting it? We are denoting it by the depth. How much depth is there of the graph? Or we can say what is the density of the probability. That's why it is known as probability density function. Now, what are the properties if we talk about the probability distribution? Those who are continuous. We are learning all these things under the heading of normal distribution, but actually most of the properties are true whenever we have a continuous probability distribution. Continuity is there. We are talking about continuous random variable. We are talking about a graphical representation. So whenever we are talking like this, the property that is very important is that the area under the curve is equal to 1. Again, if I draw a normal curve, then whatever the area is falling under this curve, the sum of this area is equal to 1. Or I can say the whole area. You will see that this is the important property that we are going to use throughout while doing the examples, that if I calculate the area under this normal curve, then it is 1. Correct? So you have to learn it, and simply it can be asked as in a form of an MCQ, which is very silly, because whenever we have learned, we know that it's very easy, and obviously we know that. And we can also relate it to, we know that the maximum value of the probability is 1. And here we are saying the area under the normal curve, or in a continuous probability distribution, the area under the curve is also 1. So you have to not to forget this property. The next we are saying is, what is the probability if x is lying between two values a and b? So whenever we are talking about, let me draw it again, might be I will be practicing for drawing a smooth curve. I will learn by drawing again and again, because if I am on board now, then obviously it is to be there whenever we are doing a question, whenever we are learning a property, a normal curve appear on the board instantaneously. So here we are saying that when we have to find out the probability that x lying between two values. Now the two values can be anywhere. If I talk about that x is having a value a, which is here, and b, which is the next point, right, this one. So if I talk about what is the probability that the x value lie between these two a and b, so obviously it is the area under the curve from this point A to B. This area we are talking about, this area. So we have to just calculate the area that goes from A to B. Similarly, if the point are lying somewhere else, suppose one point, let me take this earlier curve. One point is here, which is A, and another point is here, which is B. And we have to find out the probability of x lying from A to B. So what we have to do, we have to again find out the area under the curve that goes from A to B. So whatever the curve is there, whatever the shape is there, we have to go for it. But it is not graphically we are going to do. We are going to do with the help of a formulas, by using the property that area under the curve is 1. Let's see the next one. Here we have the same thing. Now let's go to the mathematical definition. This mathematical definition is only to be used during the derivation of the moment generating function, or when in MCQs the formula is being asked for. In the numerical, this formula is never going to be used because it was complicated, or that was given as a normal probability distribution function. And now when we are going to work, we are not going to work with this, other we are going to work with the standard normal distribution. Standard normal distribution has a very simple formula as compared to this one. Now what the formula is, here we are saying the formula that generate the normal probability distribution is given by fx is equal to 1 by sigma under root 2 pi e raised to power minus half x minus mu by sigma whole square, and the range of x for which we are working is from minus infinity to infinity. This is the range of the normal distribution. Now I think all of us are aware of what is E. E is exponent having value 2.7183. But normally what we do is, if it is required to calculate this value, we go to the calculator, we take help of a calculator and directly evaluate it. Correct? But you must have a knowledge that what is E. Similarly, what is pi? Pi is having the same interpretation, which is 22 by 7 given by 3.1416. And what this mu and sigma are? Mu is the population mean and the standard deviation. Correct? Now here, I think first time we are using the concept of population, but it is um, to be used in the might be the next unit when we are going to learn more about the estimators. Then obviously the population and sample come into the picture. If I here elaborate what is a population, then whatever the part, you can say, the whatever the thing I'm going to study, that makes my population. And whenever we are going to study something, it's not feasible actually to go to each and every unit of the population. So normally what we do, we take out a sample and work on that. For example, if I share with you, suppose in LPU, I know there are thousands of students. If we talk about that, what is the average height of the students learning in LPU? Correct? Either I can open it or I can write down that what is the average height of the students. Let me take graduate students. Correct? What is the height, average height of the graduate student learning studying in LPU? Correct? So either I can go to each and every graduation course and find out the students. A lot of sections are there, a lot of buildings are there, so it's very uncomfortable for a person to go and find it out. Correct? So what we can do, either we can go to our comfortable zone. Suppose as I used to sit in 27 block, so what I can do is I will inquire that where the graduation classes are going on. I will go there, I will look for the timetable, and I will visit over there. According to my comfortability, I will visit 10 classes, 12 classes, 15 classes. I know, not a lot of, because I'm a teacher and it's not feasible for me. So whenever I'm taking a portion of a population to study something, to calculate something, then that part is known as a sample. Correct? So normally when we talk about mean, we take the symbol x bar, and here if we talk about, then we are going to take x bar as a symbol for the sample, and mu is a symbol that we are going to take for the population mean. Hope so you are getting something. Similarly, if I talk about standard deviation, this sigma is a notation that we are going to use for the standard deviation, which is taken from the population. And whenever we are going to work for the sample, then the symbol we are going to use is s. Small s is a symbol for the standard deviation. Correct? So these are the things. Now the next property we have is the shape and location of the normal curve changes as the mean and the standard deviation changes. So you're getting it, that whenever we are drawing a curve, then obviously a curve is coming from a data. Whenever the mean of the data is going to shift, obviously the curve is going to be shift. Similarly, the standard deviation. Correct? And one of the most important property that you have to learn is that in normal distribution, mean, median and mode both are, sorry, all three are same. Mean is equal to median is equal to mode. Correct? Okay, now from this, if I told you as an example, in order to learn that how the mean and standard deviation are going to change, let me draw here something. Suppose I have a data, and let me talk about your CA, because we are going to evaluate your CA. And if I find out that more of the students are getting good marks, correct? And here we have a range where students, they're getting less marks, more and more students are getting an average of marks, and then we have very less students, those who are getting very, you can say, the full out of full marks. Correct? So depending upon the average marks, obviously the mean of this standard normal curve is going to be shift. Correct? And if I talk about, there are very less students who are getting an average type of marks. Most of the students are getting here the minimum marks. So here I will get more and more of the data values, then we will get a peak, and then might be there are some students who have done very good, so I will have the data for those students also. So it means depending upon the data, the direction, the height of the curve is going to be changed. Similarly, it's going to be symmetric or unsymmetric. Correct? When we'll come to the topic of movements, I will discuss with you how movements let us know about the height and the pickedness, you can say, pickedness and the symmetricity of a curve. Correct? But if we talk about the normal thing, normal means everything is going on normal as we talk in English. So whenever we have a normal curve, it is always symmetric and has a normal peak. The nomenclature I will discuss with you during the movements. So here, let's see what we're talking about. Here we are talking about standard normal distribution. To find the probability that x lies from A to B, we need to find the area under the normal curve. And to simplify the tabulation, we standardize the value of x by a z-score. Now what is z? Z is equal to x minus mu by sigma. So this is what we have as a normal distribution in standard form. So if we talk about the normal distribution, this is the formula which gives us the probability distribution. Fx is equal to 1 by sigma under root 2 pi e raised to power minus half x minus mu by sigma whole square. But if I take this value, which is coming in the exponential x minus mu by sigma, as z, then this value will give us the value which is known as a standard normal value. And sometime while hypothesis testing, we are going to learn, might be in the last unit, then we will pronounce it as a z statistic. Correct? So this is what we have as a standard normal form of the distribution. So if we talk about the standard normal distribution, what are the properties? Here if we talk about, mean is 0 and standard deviation is 1. This is a property you have to learn for standard normal distribution. What we have learned for the normal distribution, we have not talked about the standard deviation. Just we have talked that the mean, median and mode all are same. That is a normal distribution. Here we are talking about if the normal distribution has been standardized. How we have standardized? By taking z is equal to x minus mu by sigma. If z is taken as x minus mu by sigma and we have drawn a curve, then this curve is now known as a standard normal distribution, and it has a property that here we have in the center, which was earlier mu. If you have seen earlier, we have written here mu. Now what we are saying, it is 0 and it is symmetrically distributed. This is our positive axis. As we have the x-axis, it is the positive side and this is the negative side. So we have this first property, mean is 0, standard deviation is 1. It is symmetric about z is equal to 0. Values to the z to the left of center are negative and values of z to the right of center are positive. So I think when we have gone through the curve, it is very much depicted from the curve itself that the origin as we have taken is 0, which is mean, or we can say z is equal to 0. And the second thing is we have positive values on the right hand side and negative value on the left hand side. So it is just you can learn it by with the help of a, as we draw the coordinate axis. Correct? Okay, and the property that we have learned regarding the area. So here also the total area under the curve is 1. So what we can say, if the total area under the curve is 1 and it is symmetrically distributed, so the area which is represented by red, what could be the value? And this much is how much? Please write down in your chat box if you are listening and understanding the things. Here we are saying the area under the curve is 1. The whole graph is symmetrically distributed with respect to origin, that we have taken mean as 0 or z as 0. We have the positive and negative side as we have in the coordinate system. Now we are saying if the area under the curve is 1, what is the area on both of the sides? No response. Are you listening or not? I think the
Ma'am, it will be like,
problem.
ma'am, it will be I think point 0.5 on both sides, ma'am.
Yes, it is
Okay.
zero point 0.5 on both sides. Only Himanshu is listening, others are also listening. Dheeraj, Deepta, Anwar, Arjun, Afridi.
Evening, ma'am.
Are you listening? You have to respond to me, na? How should I come to know that you are listening? I think this is the drawback of the online teaching, that I will not come to know what actually you are doing.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Not affecting them.
Okay, doesn't matter. One more thing that come to my mind is tomorrow I will share a Google Sheet with you in which you have to give me the feedback of the online mode classes that we are going on. Correct? You have to write down whatever your feedback is. I will take the whole list of the students, and you have to write down whatever your own thinking is. And I will ask some of the questions over there. You have to write down as 1 to 5 the rating you can to give. Correct?
Okay, ma'am.
Fine. You are going to give me the responses.
Sure.
Okay. And if there is something that you want to discuss with me regarding some improvement is required in the teaching, some extra material you need, or whatever the things are, you are most welcome. Correct?
Ma'am, any confirmation about end-term exam?
Because regarding the end term exam, what the scenario is going on, I'm not sure. Because as yesterday we talked about that your classes are going till 20th and exams are going to be on 15th. So that is an announcement that we have already seen. Let's wait for other things to be
Ma'am,
clear
actually,
because it is
ma'am,
still not
actually,
clear.
ma'am, it's a choice of the student, na, ma'am. Ma'am,
Hmm.
if he or she wants to, ma'am, uh, go on the online mode, then he or she can opt. Otherwise, no. There is a choice offline also.
I'm not getting Himanshu what you're saying.
Ma'am, actually, ma'am, it's ma'am, college has given a choice.
Okay.
Ma'am, so ma'am, student can either opt for online or offline mode. Offline they
Hmm.
can give after coming to college, whenever the college reopens.
So both are just as an option given to you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I am not having, ma'am, because, ma'am, I am having, I left this term off, so I am not having any exam, ma'am. But my
And
friends are,
regarding this subject,
ma'am, but my friends are having. Ma'am, I have taken term off, ma'am, because of illness.
okay. So let's see what the other scenarios are going on. No?
But summer term also should be going means it will, how we can manage both exams, semester exams and this. And when will these exams will be conducted, ma'am? Summer term and term exam.
But I'm
Bro,
not sure about that.
bro, it's a choice. College has given choice. Either you can opt for online or offline.
No,
You can
Even
get
location
summer
is
term.
asking regarding the summer term means this course
Summer term
exam.
and term exam.
yeah. That college will decide. They have not given anything on your
No
end.
Most of
confirmations.
information. No, so might be let us learn. Then we will
Yes,
see whenever
ma'am.
the exams are going to
Yes,
happen.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because the
No
main thing is what
proper
we are learning.
clarification.
Hanji?
No proper clarification. I
Yeah,
asked one of
obviously.
my faculty also. That is Chinese subject actually. Sir has not taught 4, 5, 6 units, and they are saying that they will conduct from 4, 5, 6. And sir didn't even teach us. And when I asked sir, he said that even college management didn't inform him to prepare paper even, and they are ready to conduct exam in online. On what to we write in that?
But I'm not sure about that because whatever announcements you are looking at now, the same announcement I am looking at on the UMS because we are at home. We are not actually in touch with the examination department, so I am not sure what is going on. We are just looking at the same UMS announcement as you students are looking. Okay. So for the timing, I'm sorry, I have no such clarification regarding all these questions. Okay. As soon as I will give, might be if my HOD told me something or I will come to know, obviously I will share with you. Correct? चलिए, let's stop the discussion and start again whatever we have learned. So here it is clear that the area on both of sides is 0.5 and 0.5. Correct? So here you can see my image has been changed. Let me remove the ink. Here you can see earlier we have this one. It is 0 and plus and minus on both sides we have depicted. And if I change here, it is just shown that the curve is bell shaped and symmetric. So this is a property you have to learn for the normal as well as for the standard normal curve. These properties are same that the area under the curve is 1, the curve is bell shaped and is symmetric with respect to the mu or mean, or we can say z. Correct? Here if you see, I have just shown you how you can find out the area under the curve um, from the back of your book as an appendix, and nowadays you can use online calculator also. And what the area is, it is the main thing because sometimes what happening is we are looking at the book, at the appendix of the books, and if you are not following the same book what I am using, then might be you are going to use a different area. Because what the thing is here, in every time whenever in the book in the appendix the area is shown, they already shown you that this is area from this 0 to z, or the area we are talking about is might be some books have given the whole area like this, that it is an area from minus infinity to 0 to z, they have given this whole area. Some of the authors have given the area from this 0 to z, means it depends upon author to author. And whenever students are looking at the book, so there could be some confusion. That's why I have added this appendix snapshot also, so that we can discuss which area we are going to take. And similarly, if you are using the online calculator to find out the area under the curve, which is obviously very easy to calculate, so there also you have to take care of this thing, because if you are using online calculator and they are taking a different type of area, then the final answer will come which is incorrect. Correct? So here what we are looking for, and in all the questions what I have taken that whatever the area will be given to you for calculation, because every time whenever we are doing the question of normal distribution, we need a value of area. Correct? And that area we have to take not from the appendix that time, because if you are in the examination or in giving the exams, then these sheets are not allowed. We are not providing you sheets. What we are giving you, we are giving you that value. And again it depends from teacher to teacher which value they are providing you. So there you have to read down the instruction carefully, that the area is given from 0 to z, or it is from infinity to z. Correct? What I have used is, in all of my questions I will give you the area which is from 0 to z. Whatever z value is, we are going to take that. Correct? And the maximum value of z that is normally being taken care of is from minus 3 to 3, under which the area values are given to you. And how we have to write it down? Suppose we are looking for 0.97, that what is the area from 0 to 0.97. So how to write it down? We have to go for 0 0.9 first. This is my column of 0 0.9. I think it's visible to you. I have just circled it. So it is 0 0.9, and what we have to go for? 0.97. So I have to look for the column. First we have gone through the rows. Now we have to go to the column and we are going to take 0.07. So this intersection value, which is coming as 0.3340, is giving me the answer. Correct. So I have just shown you how to look for the value in the Z table. These tables are known as a Z table. If you want to download it from the internet, obviously you can do. But again, while downloading, be sure to see the picture, the graph, which shows you that the area under the curve is given for which value. Either it is 0 to Z or in any other way. Correct. So here we have seen that if I have to calculate the area from 0 to 0.97, this area can be calculated as going to 0.9 first in the rows and then 0.07 in the column. So it becomes 0.97. Similarly, if I look for 0.92, then instead of 7, I have the value which is 0.3212. Correct. And if I go through the table, then the table is given maximum value should be 3. So this is the area. So this is the area from 0 to Z. Correct? Okay, now let's come to the theory part. Here I have just written the same thing. That here if we talk about a continuous random variable, a continuous random variable follows a normal distribution. This is one of the notation that I have missed, so I have added it in the morning. That it is represented by n mu comma sigma square. This is a way to write on the normal distribution. Normally we write on like this n dot d whenever we are in the lectures and we are doing some of the question, we write it down as n dot d whenever I have to write on the normal distribution. But the actual notation is n mu comma sigma square. Okay, and these are the parameters of the normal distribution. If you remember, we have learned one of the questions that what are the parameters of binomial distribution. What are the parameters? N and P. Correct. Here if we talk about in the notation itself, it is coming n mu comma sigma square with mu and sigma as the parameters. So if this is the normal distribution with mean mu and variance sigma square, then its probability density function fx is given by this. This we have already seen. The formula that I have already shown you in the slide that I've talked about, that we are going to use it rarely for the numericals, but yes, for theory it can be used. Correct? So you have to remember it. In MCQ it can be asked directly as such, that which is the correct form, because students normally miss this form and used to find out how we can find out the area under the curve or how to solve the particular numerical. So be sure to go through this form also. So here we have 1 by sigma under root 2 pi e raised to power minus half x minus mu by sigma whole square. Correct? So this is the formula for the normal distribution. Now what we are going to say, I have to calculate the moment generating function. So again, if I use that formula, it will be very lengthy to go for it, isn't it? So what we can do, we can convert it to a standard normal random variable. And how to represent it, that we have learned that standard normal variable means a normal distribution with mean 0 and standard deviation 1. This is the property I have shown you now. And when we talked about the standard normal distribution, we talked about that here the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1. So this is a way to write down standard normal distribution. N mu comma sigma square is representing normal distribution. N 0 comma 1 is representing standard normal distribution, or we can just represent it by Z. But you must know the notation. Correct? Now if you have to find out the moment generating function, hope so you remember the formula. We have written mxt, and this is the notation, but here we are finding out for random variable z, so we have written mzt. So this is first change. In random variable case, in discrete case, we have written mxt. Here we have written mzt because I am going to calculate it for z random variable, which is continuous type. So if we talk about, the formula is minus infinity to infinity etx into the probability density function into dx. So if I have to write down the density function, we have written this. What we have written is this: 1 by under root 2 pi e raised to power minus of x square by 2. Why x square by 2? Can anyone elaborate it? We have discussed, and if I see, let me show you again. This is the formula. This is for n mu comma sigma square. Now if you have observed, we have the formula 1 by sigma under root 2 pi e raised to power minus half x minus mu by sigma whole square. Now while calculating moment generating function, we have written only 1 by under root 2 pi e raised to power minus half x square. Why it is so? Tell me a reason. Because if I just skip this, then you will have a confusion that why we have not taken sigma and all that things. Please let me know what we are doing here.
Ma'am, for x squared by 2 is differentiation.
X square by 2 is
Ma'am, we are just using the formula, ma'am. Ma'am, according to that formula.
in formula what we have done.
Lambda square, ma'am. That. So here, ma'am, one second.
Hmm, in
Ma'am, there is.
formula. Hmm,
Yes.
what change we have done in the formula?
Ma'am, there was an exponent, ma'am. Ma'am,
There was
value
like,
of
hmm,
exponent, fx value.
hmm. I'm asking what we have done, from where we are getting only minus x square by 2. Just observe it and let me know, because it is just the observation type of thing. And in your course, as we have already talked, that as per the syllabus, when I have seen, then in the syllabus, whoever have framed it, they have specially written the movement generating function and the movements. Correct? So you have to know this. Otherwise, if I talk about, then whatever the courses I have taken of this, we have never gone through the calculation part of this whole MGF. We know that, but it is for the MSc students we have done. Chale, it doesn't matter. Here, whatever the courses we have to go for it. So let me know, observe it, and let me know. And one of you, okay. If not you, then let me complete it because the time is going to be over. And according to me, we are going to continue with this PPT in the coming lecture also. Okay. Today we have just the basics and the theory part. Still, the pending things are the numericals, how to calculate the area under the curve. A lot of things are pending. So we will continue with this same PPT. So be sure to go through the lecture, whatever we have done till today, because it will be continued with all these things in the next lecture. Okay. Now let me tell you what we have done. Here, if we see, the formula was this one. What we have done is, now we are saying that this is the formula for n mu sigma square, and this standard speed of v is 0 and standard deviation is 1. So this is what we have used. If we take sigma as 1, it will become 1 by under root 2 pi. You know? The exponential is still exponential. If we write out what is now, I'm getting minus of half. Mu is 0, so it will gives me x square, and sigma is 1, so this is what we are getting, e of minus x square by 2. Correct? So this is what I am getting. Okay, just a minute to look at that. I'm just coming back. So this is what we have. Now, if we want to simplify it further, what we have to do, we have taken 1 by under root 2 pi. Outside you can take, or because it is a constant, we have just taken it out and we have collected the powers of e. It is e raised to power tx and minus x square by 2. If I take minus half common, so it becomes x square, and from here, because I am taking minus half common, so it is minus of 2xt, and it is with respect to dx. Now here again, if I want this to be written as a formula, what we have done, we have added and subtracted this e raised to power t square by 2. So if I add and subtract, then addition is here, e t square by 2 will come out, and here, because it is a function of x, here if we have subtracted, then we are getting here inside plus of t square. Is it clear? Why it is plus of t square? Because we have a negative sign outside. So if I open it, it becomes e of minus half t square inside and e of t square by 2 outside. So it can be written as e raised to power minus half x minus t whole square. Tell me if it is clear. When you will do with your pen and paper, hope so we will get it. What we have done, we have added and subtracted e raised to power t square by 2. And this, if we see, what is this? This is the probability density function of n t comma 1, whose value is 1. This is the probability density function of the distribution with mean t and standard deviation 1, whose value is to be calculated, and when we calculate this value, it will come as 1. Hence the moment generating function is given by e raised to power t square by 2. Correct? So this is how we have calculated the moment generating function. And now what we have to find out for the normal distribution. Here we have started with whatever we have done here, we have done it for the standard normal random variable. This is what we have written, that we start by computing the moment generating function of a standard normal random variable that we have calculated like this. And now we talked about the purpose is to find out the MGF of normal distribution. So how we can write down? We know z is equal to x minus mu by sigma. This is the formula we know na, that we have taken, that how we can calculate the standard normal form. This is the formula. So from here I can write down x can be written as mu. If I take on that side, let me write down as a whole. I can write down z into sigma is equal to x minus of mu. Or what I can write down, x is equal to, this mu will come on this side, so it becomes mu plus sigma z. Correct? So it means if in place of z I will put this mu plus sigma z, then whatever we are getting for the standard normal curve can be utilized here, and hence we can calculate the moment generating function. Now how we are doing, let's see. We know the mxt when we have calculated is given by expected value of etx. Let me write down here for the clarification, mxt. This is the formula, and how we used to write down, we used to write down it as expected value of e raised to power tx. Hope so you have remembered this. No? Now if I take x as mu plus sigma z, from here we can say if x is equal to mu plus sigma z, replacing x by mu plus sigma z, here replacing x by mu plus sigma z, we will get this expected value of this. And as we know, the expected value of a constant is giving me constant. So here we can write down, first this term can be written as e raised to power t mu into e raised to power t sigma z. I think we can write it down like this. It is just a exponential, the laws of exponent, that this can be written as this with the same base. And now if I find out the expected value, this is constant that will come out, e raised to power t mu. and I will get expected value of Et sigma z. And from here we can see what is the moment generating function of z, Et square by 2. So if for moment generating function of z we are getting Et square by 2, for t sigma what we will get? Hope so you are getting it, what the change is. Here we have E of t sigma z, the expected value of Et sigma z. It means we are talking about moment generating function of t sigma. For mxt it is etx. So for mz t alpha it is mtz. When you will write down it, you will come to know what I am saying about. So actually this is the formula for the moment generating function of t sigma. That's why I have shown you that mz of t is this. So when I replace t by t sigma, I will get t square sigma square by 2. Correct? And if I simplify it as a whole, because again the base is same, it will give me mu t plus sigma square t square by 2. So this is what we have finally as the moment generating function for the normal distribution. So hope so you're getting it. It is a little bit theory that we have done from here. Otherwise what we have done till now was just the properties, how to work, whatever the things are. That's very simple. The only thing we have done for the theory is this part, how to find out the moment generating function. So let us stop here. Next we are going to talk about the movements, and then we have the examples. So examples are very interesting, and once you have done the normal distribution examples, you will look forward that how we are going to do more and more practice for that.
Ma'am,
Okay,
upload the recorded videos.
obviously I will try, and might be today and tomorrow I will upload all others video that we have done till now, which are not